I am home. In my years, I've watched the good times roll, where stories of castles and kings are told. For born and raised, and new in town, our dreams are shared in common ground. I am beauty. I've seen the sky swirl with purple and orange hues, where azaleas line boulevards and avenues, from mysterious cypress and magnolia groves to majestic oaks along river roads. I am celebration. I've danced in pews and worshipped at parades, whether clear skies or rainy days, where river lights twinkle red, white, and green, and the trees sprout beads for leaves. I am rhythm. I've seen pink flocks on pink streets, a place where blues and zydeco meet, where houses echo with juke and jive and groove to jazzy lullabies. I am flavor. I've cooked in colorful kitchens and laughed with even more colorful people. I've feasted on crawfish and etouffee with po' boys and gumbo and catfish fillet. I am spirit. I've fought like a tiger and danced in the company of saints. With drumlines and jaguars I've reveled and raged. But I am more than that, you see. Home is not only a place that sticks with you, but a feeling that lets you know there's no better place to be.
Visit Baton Rouge is a political subdivision of the state governed by a 10-person board. We're the marketing arm for the Baton Rouge area in regard to bringing in tourists, group tours, conventions, events, etc. Everyone in East Baton Rouge Parish benefits from tourism dollars spent in the area. Now, there are 12,000 jobs associated with the hospitality industry here in East Baton Rouge Parish alone. There are over 4 million visitors to East Baton Rouge Parish. 4 million, that's 10 times the population of Baton Rouge. So if you look at each one of us, there's 10 visitors coming in for that. The amount of tax money that these visitors spend and leave behind lowers our tax obligation as citizens. In mid-November, the citizens of most of East Baton Rouge Parish will have the opportunity to vote on a 2% hotel tax, an occupancy tax that would be paid by visitors and folks who stay in the hotels in East Baton Rouge Parish. The tax which would apply to those hotels in East Baton Rouge Parish, excluding the cities of Central, Baker, Zachary, and the North Economic Development District, that 2% tax, which would be paid by occupants of hotels, that money would be split between Visit Baton Rouge for marketing efforts and for the River Center Arena upgrades and renovations. Now, Visit Baton Rouge will use that additional money to pursue conferences, conventions, sporting events, entertainment events that draw visitors to the area, but also have a quality of life improvements for the citizens here in Baton Rouge. Tourism is extremely competitive, particularly when you're pursuing conferences, conventions, events, sporting events, etc. Everyone steps up with a certain package, certain amenities to bring those events, conferences, conventions to their community. With those additional funds, we feel that we'll be able to compete pretty well against our peer cities in the South and in the Southeast in this general area, because we will have the resources, therefore, to pursue those events. Our Baton Rouge hotels are very reasonably priced across the region. We fare very well as a lower priced destination. A visitor to Baton Rouge, their hotel costs would be around 25 to 28% of their entire expenditures in the area. So hotels are about a quarter of what a person would spend compared to what they spend on retailing, retail purchases, entertainment, etc. With this additional money, we will be able to pursue more events in Baton Rouge. Now, this will benefit the entire parish. Downtown, northeast, north central part of the parish, the entire parish would benefit, particularly when we bring in citywide events that require hotels throughout the entire region. When we bring in events that would require hotels throughout the region, particularly sporting events that are held here in Baton Rouge. all of the hotels benefit. The bowling congress is a perfect example. The soccer tournaments that we have here over the last several years, perfect example. Baseball, softball. These hotels all hotels in East Baton Rouge Parish would benefit from these events coming to East Baton Rouge Parish.
My business is centered around concert production and event management in the area. We handle primarily live sound events for Baton Rouge and surrounding areas, as well as tours and other things of that nature. Bringing more events to Baton Rouge can only be good for our local economy and our people that are here. I think currently in the past several years there's been a downturn in the number of events that we've had in the Baton Rouge area, and hopefully this tax will bring more money to allow more events, bigger events, so we can get more people here, bring more exciting concerts, more exciting events, and not just have the same couple things that we've always had. In the past few years, there's definitely been a noticeable decline in the number of events in the Baton Rouge area, not just live music, but other things that have come and gone here and there. I think a good part of that is some of our venues that are nearby have been able to upgrade their facilities, such as the Cajun Dome in Lafayette and upgrades made to facilities in New Orleans, which I think in a way has siphoned off business that could have come to Baton Rouge. Hopefully with this tax we can make some much needed improvements at venues like the River Center Arena and other things in town to attract those artists and events to come to our city and bring us the events that we want to see here, instead of having to travel 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half to see the artists that we want to enjoy. The decline in local events specifically has impacted PSS, that we just don't have as much work locally, that we've had to look outside of our home base to find work to keep our 30 plus employees feeding their families. So now we spend a lot more of our time driving 2, 4, 6 hours or even further to find the work to keep everybody going. This weekend, instead of being in Baton Rouge, where it's of course much more comfortable to be with your home people, we find ourselves in Houston, New Orleans, Luling, North Louisiana, and a couple things that are out on tour around the country right now, because there's just not as much work locally anymore. So we're branching out to keep things going.
The Raising Cane's River Center Arena is 40 years old. It's time that the renovations occur, and certainly now, why not now, especially when you've got an opportunity for this money to be provided by outside of the area. This would not take local money. It would take taxes paid by occupants of hotels in East Baton Rouge Parish. Visitors will come here and help us renovate and upgrade our River Center.
What type of upgrades to the River Center would be on the menu if this is passed?
Well, obviously, normal maintenance is needed, and for a 40-year-old building, the roof needs some repairs and work. The restrooms need to be renovated. The concessions area needs to be renovated. The entire River Center needs to be such that it provides a better experience for those who attend events in the River Center and those who perform at the River Center.
How does the River Center compare with other cities its size in terms of the amenities that it offers to people that attend?
Well, we're lucky that the River Center as a campus has a theater, a ballroom, an exhibit hall, and an arena. Now, the arena here is, again, 40 years old. The arena in Lafayette was just renovated. It is a state-owned building. The River Center is owned by the city. If the River Center can be renovated using visitor tax money, we think we can become just as competitive as our cities that are near and around us.
We're sitting here in the Raising Cane River Center Arena. This is one of a 5-building complex here in downtown Baton Rouge. And my job as a general manager is to bring the biggest, the best events and performers here for all of the people of the Capital Region.
Who benefits from that?
Well, the benefit really is all the people who get to come here, all the people in the region. They get a choice of great events, shows, trade shows, family events, which is one of our most popular categories here. So all the people in the region will benefit from those bigger and better shows, if you will. And of course, we are a city-owned building, so the revenues that come in here replenish the city budget.
And tell us a little bit about this entire complex.
Mm-hmm. Well, the River Center was originally constructed in 1977, and the arena that we're sitting in now, the ballroom and the theater, very little has been done to upgrade them. The roofs are beyond their lifespan, so when it rains outside, sometimes it rains inside. There's a number of guest services improvements that are really standard in most capital cities or larger cities today that we just don't have. And we're really trying desperately to bring those here so that our patrons, when they come here, they are comfortable, they are safe, and they have a great entertaining time.
In the public facilities industry, it's very competitive nowadays. And for us to get the best conventions, trade shows, including concerts and shows, it's important for us to have a facility that's up to the current standards. At the Raising Cane's River Center, the arena, the ballroom, and the theater built in 1977 with very little done to it since. And we need to make these upgrades so we can continue to compete with other cities to bring in the big events here to Baton Rouge. We have 5 different facilities, 3 of which are below what the current standard is. The exhibition hall, the Galleria are newer, and those are up to date. But certainly in the arena, we want to make some improvements. When buildings were built back in the late 70s, as this was, the strategy from the designers was getting people from A to B as fast as possible. Now people want to hang, they want to have experiences, they want to chat with people, and so the design of buildings today are much different than they were in the late 70s when these buildings were designed. So we want to open up the concourses, give people more space, update the bathrooms and the concession stands to give people more choices. Those are all improvements that we look to make our facility up to the current standards that you see in other capital cities.
Great things about the Raising Cane's River Center and our location here in downtown is we're walkable to the hotels, to a number of attractions. So when companies want to reward their top employees and they want to take them someplace, Baton Rouge is a very attractive location in that regard. The city has expanded our hotel, our restaurant, and our bars and our attractions in downtown. The one thing that's kind of lacking or following behind is the facility. The main entertainment enrichment facility in Baton Rouge is the Raising Cane's River Center, and it desperately needs some upgrades. It's a very competitive industry to bring concert shows. I like to call the 3 Ps. The producer or promoter has to be able to come into town and be able to make a profit. The performer needs to enjoy their experience while they're here working. Essentially, it's their job. And the patrons have to enjoy the experience when they come here to the facility. And the Raising Cane's River Center right now is falling behind other cities. And we need to make the experience here for all 3 of those better. We're looking at the arena roof right now, and again, this roof was originally constructed in 1977 and is beyond its lifespan, and that's really one of the concerns. When we talk about making upgrades here to the Raising Cane's River Center, it's really top down. We need to make the repairs to the roof, and then the focus inside the 4 walls is really going to be on guest services. The bathrooms, the concession areas, the entire concourse area needs to be more open, inviting, and easier for our patrons to get around and enjoy their overall experience here at the Raising Cane's River Center.
Welcome to Red Stick Spice. I'm Ann Milneck. I'm the owner. I've owned Red Stick Spice for 4 years now. In that 4 years, we've grown to 2 locations. We sell spices, spice blends. We do lots of blending on our own here, so lots of local flavors. We've expanded that into teas, so now we're blending all of our own teas. We also offer olive oils and balsamics, as well as a ton of what we call hyper-local products that are local specifically to Baton Rouge, that are crafted and created here.
What does tourism mean to your business?
Tourism is really important to us. We love to see folks who are visiting come in and take back a little taste of Louisiana with them. Folks come here for the food. They talk about the food. The food is very memorable. So if they can come in here and get a spice blend or an oil or a vinegar that will help them recreate that dish when they get home, that's huge for them, and we're delighted that we're able to do that for them.
Tell us how your business is on days when there's a big event in Baton Rouge.
We definitely see an uptick in business when folks are visiting from Baton Rouge to Baton Rouge. The hotels and lots of the other agencies in town do a good job of letting visitors know what's out there in terms of shops for them to visit. And I end up a lot of times hearing that I was the highlight of their visit when they visit different businesses in town. So it's definitely something where we see more folks coming in when there's an event in town.
Tell us about your employees. How many do you have?
I'm at about 17 employees now, and like I said, I'm 2 locations. And it's been a huge ride for me, because 4 years ago I was alone in the store, literally every day alone in the store, and now I've got 17 folks working alongside me.
What would an increase in tourism mean in terms of more jobs at your place?
Well, it would be huge. We would definitely love to see adding another location and expanding what we do here and having a tea bar. It's something that we've wanted to do for years now, and an uptick in tourism would definitely help us be able to expand in that way.
How many businesses, small businesses in Baton Rouge depend on tourism?
Oh, I would say all of them, for sure. It's important to all small businesses that we reach out to, not only our local regulars, but reach out to folks who are visiting, new folks, to help us spread the word.
Welcome to the DoubleTree Baton Rouge. We're one of the many hotels here in the Baton Rouge area that provide jobs to people in the tourism industry.
How many people work at your hotel?
During high season, we have about 42 people employed here at our hotel.
Tell us about the opportunities in the hospitality business.
We have multiple opportunities, front desk, housekeeping, restaurants, you name it. There are many opportunities for people in the tourism industry. The majority of our guests are from outside East Baton Rouge Parish. A lot of them drive several hours to get here and travel from outside the region to visit Baton Rouge.
What would increased tourism mean for your hotel and your employees?
It means everything. When we're busy, we're working. With no guests, we don't have the opportunity to do what we enjoy to do. Many of the hotels offer amenities outside of just rooms. We have restaurants, pool area, all types of benefits that our guests enjoy.
When people stay in a motel or a hotel in East Baton Rouge Parish, tell us about what they pay.
Currently, there is an occupancy tax on visitors who stay in East Baton Rouge Hotel. Of that occupancy tax, 3% comes to Visit Baton Rouge for marketing efforts. The additional 1% goes to the River Center.
Tell us, how important is that marketing effort?
Well, obviously, we are the marketing arm for East Baton Rouge Parish, and when it comes to pursuing conventions, visitors, special events, et cetera, it's a very competitive environment that we're in, so it's extremely important.
Tell us about that competitive environment. Who does Baton Rouge compete against to bring attractions to East Baton Rouge Parish?
To bring conventions, tourism, events, visitors, et cetera, East Baton Rouge, we're basically competing against the entire region: Little Rock, Shreveport, Houston, New Orleans, Lafayette, Jackson, Memphis.
And how does the budget of Visit Baton Rouge compare to those cities?
Well, many of those cities have a larger budget than Visit Baton Rouge. One reason is that they have a higher percentage of hotel tax that goes to their destination marketing organization, their Convention and Visitors Bureau. Shreveport's a perfect example. Jackson's another example, New Orleans, et cetera. The person that will pay this tax would be from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Gainesville, Florida, Knoxville, Tennessee, Starkville, Mississippi, Houston. Throughout the state, throughout the region, people from outside of Baton Rouge will be supporting our efforts and the renovation of the River Center. It is money coming into this community that we will be able to invest in what we do. It is not at all unusual to have an occupancy tax on hotels. Heaven knows when we go to other cities, a perfect example, when we go to Omaha for the College World Series, we pay over 18% tax. When we go to Knoxville, we pay over 17% tax. So it's not at all unusual. We feel that it is a great opportunity for us to utilize expenditures from out-of-town visitors to Baton Rouge area whereby we can continue to pursue conventions, events, special events, film, movies, etc. The more conventions we bring, the more special events, the more activity that we bring in tourism-wise, obviously the more hotel needs are for housekeepers, managers, desk clerks, waiters, waitresses, cooks, etc.
Now, there's been an expansion of hotels in the central Baton Rouge downtown area. How is this going to contribute to your efforts to bring in more attractions to the Baton Rouge area?
Well, Baton Rouge is blessed in that we have several areas that can accommodate conventions, including the downtown. But the College Drive area would benefit, Blue Bonnet, all along I-10 as we bring in tourists, small conventions, large conventions, sporting events, and movies.
What would increased tourism mean to you in terms of being able to employ more people?
It keeps those people working. When we're busy, it's a lot easier to provide hours and opportunities for our employees to make money.
How competitive is the market when you go to try to approach a convention and you have to compete against these other cities?
It is extremely competitive. We are competing with cities our size, cities larger than us, New Orleans, Houston, Dallas, Memphis, Shreveport, Jackson, very competitive. These cities offer economic incentives, and we've got to get into that game too.
We have a lovely state to visit. We have an incredible town to visit, and it's worth helping Visit Baton Rouge be able to tell that story to get more folks here more often.
The December vote is important because it gives us the opportunity to generate revenues through taxes from people that are not in the East Baton Rouge area to be able to promote the area, promote tourism, and keep us competitive to bring events to the market.
On November 18th, Visit Baton Rouge will have an item on the ballot for a 2% hotel occupancy tax increase. This is a dedicated tax that can only be used by Visit Baton Rouge and the Raising Cane's River Center, dedicated for Visit Baton Rouge marketing efforts and the Raising Cane River Center renovations. Visit Baton Rouge will be the taxing authority for the tax. One of the areas of confusion that we're hearing as we're speaking with meeting and locals is that, what is an occupancy tax? This is a tax that a visitor pays when they stay overnight in a hotel. The hotels that will be affected will be in East Baton Rouge Parish, excluding Central, Baker, Zachary, and the North Economic District, which has their own tax for their purposes. Local residents, in turn, benefit when visitors come in. Just like when you and I go out of town and we spend money on a hotel, some cities, Knoxville, Tennessee, considerably higher than us, Omaha, where we hope we go every year, higher, Mobile, higher. We want to use this additional money to pursue business. It supports and creates 12,000 jobs here in East Baton Rouge Parish. A lot of small business owners benefit from our efforts in bringing tourism here. All this goes back to enhancing the experience that the visitor has when they come to Baton Rouge. And there are plenty of opportunities to enhance that visitor's opportunity and a visitor's experience while they're here. Let's talk about food for a second. USA Today just came out with an announcement that Baton Rouge is one of the 5 most underrated food cities in the South. Baton Rouge is on the list, and rightfully so, but we don't want to be underrated. We want to be rated. We want to get the word out through the appropriate periodicals, et cetera, that we've got some great food here. We want the world to know that, as did Zagat. Zagat came up with an article and featured Baton Rouge on their homepage. 11 must-visit restaurants and bars in Baton Rouge was the title of the article. But there's more to come with our efforts, and they aren't going to stop. Competition is fierce, and as Louisiana's capital city, we can now compete. Unfortunately, it's going to take more than word of mouth to tell our story. We have to be able to compete with incentives and marketing efforts. We know that we can, and looking forward to continuing to make a difference through economic impact that visitors bring to our area. With that additional 2% that we anticipate passing in November, half of which will go to the River Center, 40-year-old River Center, for some renovations. 40-year-old River Center that needs some renovations. The other half will come to Visit Baton Rouge to pursue sporting events, conventions, conferences, individual and group leisure travel through magazines, through trade magazines. We'll be on the road at the appropriate trade shows, pursuing conferences, conventions at conventions of convention planners. And we think we can make a serious difference come November 18th if things go the way we hope they do. My message is that we're very proud of what we're doing, what we're accomplishing here with our partnership, the River Center, and all of the partners that we work with in making Baton Rouge more of a visitor destination. And that come November 18th and prior to then with the early voting, if we can get this additional 2% tax on visitors who stay in Baton Rouge hotels, that would help renovate the River Center to a certain extent and certainly give us an opportunity to market Baton Rouge even more so.
Who would be paying this tax?
Well, anyone who stays in a hotel in the East Baton Rouge Parish in a certain area defined as excluding Central, Baker, Zachary, and the North Economic District, mainly the southern part of the parish, where a visitor would stay in a hotel, pay an additional 2%, which equates to less than $1.50 more, and that money would be used between the River Center and their renovations and us in our marketing efforts, Visit Baton Rouge's efforts.
Is this a dedicated tax?
Yes, it's dedicated. It is dedicated such that half of which would come to Visit Baton Rouge for marketing efforts, half would go to the River Center for renovations.
What kind of an impact does tourism have on the Baton Rouge area currently, and what would this tax allow you to be able to do?
Well, right now, tourism in the region is a $1.3 billion industry, and in East Baton Rouge alone is almost $900 million. It's certainly a big business. It's a business that money comes in here. With the additional money, we'll be able to pursue more conferences, more conventions, sporting events, renovate the River Center, and such that it's good for the locals in that they would have a renovated River Center using out-of-town monies, and it would give us the opportunity to pursue additional visitors and conventions here to Baton Rouge.